The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds.
In Fairfield County, something new comes across my desk every day. Crimes are committed, cases are solved, and a community is made safe by the hardworking employees of the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office.
Welcome to This Week with Sheriff Dave Phalen, a weekly program here on LSN Television. We're also carried by a number of the radio affiliates here in Fairfield County. Do appreciate you, the viewers and listeners that join us each and every week. Executive producer Kelly Roberts behind the scenes, lining up the guests, getting the questions together, does a lot of wonderful things for the program. This show is actually taped at Fairfield Christian Academy. The students in the media class tape the show each and every week, so they do a terrific job. J.T. Burcham, the instructor, so we are very much appreciative. If it was not for Fairfield Christian Academy, we would not have a program. Backed by popular demand is Sean Meloy, our canine handler and 13-year veteran of the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office, and recently assigned to the canine unit.
Yes, sir.
And for the viewers and listeners that may have joined us or missed last week, tell us just a little bit about the responsibilities of the canine.
The responsibilities, he lives with me 24/7. I take care of him, I feed him, take him to assigned vet appointments, things like that. He's, like I said, pretty much like another kid. You just take care of him 24/7. Everywhere I go, he goes.
Now, you mentioned feed. Do they have any special food or any special diet?
No, actually, he's on a food called Nutro, which actually is donated by Petland of Pickerington. We have a program with them, and actually the Pickerington Police Department does too, where we just go there and they give us a bag of food a month for free.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, so that's pretty nice.
Yes, they're very well thankful for that. Yeah. Obviously, it can get kind of expensive with food and things like that.
And as far as what's the average lifespan of a canine dog? How many years can you expect them to be out there?
Roughly anywhere between 8 to 10 years, depending on how well you take care of them. If you take them to the vet all the time, make sure they're up to date on their shots, make sure they stay in good working condition, not overfeed them, make them overweight or anything like that to make them real heavy on their feet or their hips.
And again, the type of dog we have?
He's a Belgian Malinois, and he's from Germany.
Uh-huh. And last week, we actually hit a couple items out there with drugs on them, and you guys, it took you, 2 minutes, and you found it, right?
Oh, he's got a good nose on him. He smells real well. Once I give him that command to search, he wants to search, and he wants to get his reward. That's one thing he's working for, is his tennis ball.
And how often do you have to do training for the dog?
We train every week, once a week for 8 hours. Every Tuesday we train. It says that we were technically supposed to train 16 hours a month.
Okay.
However, we keep going. You learn something new every week. I train with anywhere from 5 to 10 people at a time. Okay. And you learn something different each week from different persons of what they've encountered on the street and things like that.
And it's just not new things, but to keep the dog sharp, right?
Yes, just continuing training.
Now, the other thing that I think is kind of interesting, you have a special vehicle,
yes,
right, for the dog. Tell us a little bit about that.
I have a 2007 Ford Explorer, and actually in the back it has a kennel, an actual kennel for him, to where it's a cage where I can close it to where he can either come up to see me, stick his head through, or I can close it where he can't come up at all. It has a special door in it. It's called a bailout door. If I'm running, that's what the switch is right here.
Okay.
If I'm running after somebody, whatever, and I want to release the dog, I just hit this button. Within a mile radius, my door will actually pop open and the dog will come out to me.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
So now, if one of our viewers or listeners are today, they may be part of a civic organization, a church group, scouts or whatever, you're willing to come out. What are some things you do as part of your demonstration to the community?
It all depends where I go. I went to East Elementary was about 3 weeks ago. The third grade teacher asked me to come. I did the whole third grade class, and I went out there and spoke about the dog, things like that. And we have baseball cards made of myself and the dog, and it's something to pass out. Coloring books. Actually, the SRO, Deputy Dixon, helped me with that too. So he showed up and helped me with that. We just pretty much explained, what's going on, how the dog works, how the dog functions, and obviously, kids, they got tons of questions, so they're always asking great questions.
Now, one of the things we talked about before airtime was the fact that you're going to get a vest for the dog.
Yes. Actually, myself and Sergeant Hendershot put a thing together. There was a program out there called Vested Interest Canine. Mm-hmm. And what they do is they donate vests to people for sheriff's departments, things like that, of expired vests or new canine handlers that don't have a vest for the canine. So we put a packet together and submitted it, and we got approved for a vest, so they're actually donating a vest to us.
What would a vest cost?
Anywhere from $1,000 to
Wow.
$2,500.
Well, and they need a vest too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if I've seen in different news articles, if the canine, some of them lose their lives, and it's treated just like another deputy, isn't it?
Absolutely, line of duty death.
Yeah. And going back to the vehicles, the heating and cooling, the vehicle has to stay cool all the time, doesn't it, in the summertime?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a system in there. It's called a hot and pop. What it does is there's two little sensors in the back by his cage in his kennel that actually measures the temperature of the vehicle back there. If it gets too hot, what happens is the windows will roll down, the fans will kick on, and my siren will start, and my lights will start going.
Okay.
It never really gets too cold in there, obviously,
right.
The winter time. I mean, sometimes it's 40 degrees in there, and I'll turn heat up for him a little bit. But other than that, there's a fan on the door. There's two fans in the back. He lays on a rubber mat, so he's not actually laying on the steel, kennel itself.
Now, you're also part of the SWAT team, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, when you're called out for a SWAT incident, does Kahr go along?
He does now, yes. Ever since I've obtained him in September, any call out we have, I used to be on an entry team, the first 5 minutes in the house. However, now I'm on a perimeter team that way. If somebody bails out the window, out the window or a door, I'm able to actually just send him after him.
So that's quite a benefit for the SWAT team to have Kahr involved in it.
Absolutely. Sergeant Collins and Lieutenant Lape are very fortunate to have him. He's pretty quiet too when it comes to things like that, and they're excited to have him on the team.
Now, you've had some recent incidents.
Yes.
One, you were actually involved in a search.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about this.
Deputy Temper attempted to make a traffic stop on a vehicle. The vehicle took off, crashed actually into a dirt pile. And come to find out after he called me down there to do a search, a track on the guy. The guy bailed out of the car. We started a track. Come to find out, about halfway through the track, we found out who it was and things like that nature. But we went on it was about a 4-mile track. It was a long track. We tracked. We were about 20 minutes behind him, and after further investigation by the patrol deputies and a couple sergeants, it was determined that obviously he was picked up by he was taken to Lancaster by another individual. So obviously we didn't locate him. They located him the next day in Circleville.
So how does that work? It goes on scent, but do you have to have a part of their clothing or something, or how does that work?
No. Actually, when you commit a crime or you committed a crime and you're running from the law, it's a thing called fear scent. So what it is there's particles releasing from your body. Obviously, when you walk or I walk, we're releasing particles every day from our body, and they're just falling to the ground.
Okay.
And that's what he picks up on is the fear scent, the scent of knowing that, hey, I'm running from the law, things like that. So he just tracks the footsteps, and he knows that hey, this is it, this is this. I mean, he goes nose to nose to nose to nose to nose the footprints.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
It's interesting. When I first learned it by my trainer Mike Pennington, he taught me a lot about the tracking aspect of it, and he's very, 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 very knowledgeable when it comes to that. So, I mean, he taught me the best way possible out there to learn how to track and learn the dog's behavior and the dog's tracking abilities.
Now, the other thing that I think is kind of interesting is you have to stay. In other words, not anybody, another person couldn't work with your dog, right? Or could they?
No, they can't. They have to go through another 6 weeks course.
Could he have another handler at the same time?
No.
Okay.
No.
So it's specific to you. In other words, somebody else couldn't come in and say, I'm going to take him this shift, those kind of things.
Yeah,
So you have to be with him all the time.
Right. Now, if I would happen to get hurt in a line of duty, and I do have him, obviously, Sergeant Collins, previous handler, Sergeant Collins, Deputy Dixon, Deputy Williamson could come, knowing the knowledge that they have of the canine, they could actually take him until I'm, better. However, they won't work the street with him. They just, put him in a kennel or something until I'm able to come get him.
So just
like
be
that.
kind of under an emergency situation that you would take care of him.
That is correct.
And, the other thing I was curious about is we have the vet bills. I think a lot of this stuff's volunteers. I mean, we have a lot of things where people give back to the community.
Absolutely.
Even the bills, the food, and those kind of things.
Absolutely.
And a few years ago, money was donated, and which for the most part paid for Kahr. There was a fund that was set up, and people donated. We had lost our other canine unit, and we were, not really at that point in time able to afford another canine. And the community came and donated a lot of money for that, and so we were able to start another canine.
Absolutely. It's great that the community, is able to, donate funds to actually, have a canine unit. Obviously, it's an asset for the sheriff's department. The public really enjoys it, and get them in the schools and things like that. And the kids really interact with the dog too. So, obviously, there's a lot of people that are animal lovers.
Now, what about, do you assist other law enforcement jurisdictions, Lancaster and some of the other agencies?
Yes. If I'm working, Lancaster will call me, go do a sniff on one of their cars or anything like that. They had a suicidal juvenile, actually. It was a couple weeks just brand new on the street with him.
Yeah.
They had a suicidal juvenile that took off from the house, and we actually were tracking in a field but able to push him out. And
Okay.
He actually went back to the house and, pretty much turned himself into the officers.
And on any given night, you go and do a sniff on suspicious cars that are stopped, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Anytime.
What all have you found?
My very first sniff that we actually conducted with him, we found methamphetamine out of a car. Other than that, it's mostly been marijuana, paraphernalia. In November, Deputy Warner had stopped the vehicle. He had called me over to assist him and do a sniff of the car, and we found a large amount of cash that was, further investigation was to purchase narcotics.
Wow. So the dog would pick up on cash if there was associated with narcotics, they had narcotics on them or something?
Yeah, if there's residue on there, yes.
Okay. Well, very interesting. Very interesting.
Yes.
Appreciate you being here. Now, you're a 13-year veteran.
Yes, sir.
And what are some of your other assignments as we get ready to conclude here?
Just pretty much just to the patrol division, SWAT team. I've been in the Violet substation, the Canal Winchester substation. I've been in the jail division, so I've done it all but the detective bureau and the narcotics division. So
Well, we appreciate you and appreciate you willing to be our canine handler and
Absolutely.
doing a great job. And again, mentioned earlier, if you're interested in having the canine come out to some civic event, church, social gathering, give us a call. We'd be glad to do that. Just call into our main office and we'll set that up. Well, appreciate it. Sean
problem,
Meloy,
sir.
our canine deputy, along with Kahr, been with us the last couple of weeks. Do appreciate Deputy Meloy taking time out of his busy schedule to be with us. Again, I appreciate the students here at Fairfield Christian Academy, executive producer Kelly Roberts, and you, the viewers and listeners that join us each and every week. Until next week, same time, same place, God bless, and we'll see you right here next week.
These waters were woven into the culture of Native American tribes. The descendants of the early Europeans built a business here based on agriculture. And today, this unique destination in the central Ohio countryside comes to life with stories and memories centuries old. The Fairfield County Historical Parks invites you to amazing Rock Mill, Above the falls of the Hocking River Gorge, here together, nature and man have created some truly American stories that you'll want to experience with the entire family. Visit us or learn more about Rock Mill and the largest wooden water wheel in the nation at historicalparks.org.